There's a new report out by the Center for Responsive Politics that shows that over half of all members of Congress had a net worth of over $1 million in 2012. Now, this is the first time, and this is why this is important, because this is the first time in American history that a majority of our lawmakers are millionaires or have been millionaires. First time ever. The median net worth of Congress, for members of Congress, was $1,008,767. Do you know what the median net worth of the average American family is? Just under $39,000. African American families fare even worse. You know what their median net worth was in 2012? Just under $5,000. $5,000. The median net worth of the average white family, $110,729. Wow. Now that's a big difference. It's a big difference between, there's a huge racial disparity for one. But what's even more of a disparity is between the members of Congress and their constituents. Now that's what's really important about this. Now, those numbers don't exactly surprise me. Furthermore, what actually doesn't surprise me as well is since Congress is rich, they actually respond more to the priorities of the rich. Now, we actually saw that just recently when Congress decided to let unemployment benefits end. We weren't talking about letting tax breaks for the wealthiest 1% end. No, we're talking about the lifeline that people were hanging on to. We let that end. Do you remember the study that was actually published in 2012 that showed that the voting records of senators had actually consistently aligned with the opinions of the wealthiest constituents? The opinions of lower-class constituents, however, actually never even appeared to influence the senators' voting behavior whatsoever. If you're poor, your congressman ain't listening to you. But if you're rich and you give them legal bribes, campaign contributions, then of course they have all the time in the world to listen to you. And look, surprisingly, this isn't even a partisan issue. No. Democrats were not any more responsive to the poor than Republicans. You know why? Because our system is pay to play. Because you have to have a lot of money in order to run for office, which means that you have to find rich corporations or a rich donor and suck up and kiss ass in order to get enough money to win re-election. Remember, 94% of Senate races are determined by the person that has more money. It's pay to play. Now, Thomas Hayes of Trinity University actually wrote this study back in 2012. And he wrote, quote, "My analysis, which examines senator behavior on a large number of votes, shows evidence of responsiveness to only the wealthy, a distinct problem for any democracy. In some ways, this suggests oligarchic tendencies in the American system, a finding echoed in other research." Oligarchic tendencies. Goddamn right. Finally, he writes, "Although Americans might not easily identify along class lines, this does not mean that politicians representing these citizens do not respond to them in this manner. If equal responsiveness is a fundamental practice in a democratic society, my findings question the degree to which this occurs." This is a fundamental practice of democracy. Listening to everyone equally. Remember, we all have one vote, right? But we still do not have the same influence because we don't have the money. And you look at all these things like Citizens United, Buckley Vallejo, the influence of money in politics, the amount of money it takes to run for office, and you see that unless you're rich, you are not represented. And look, a lot of politicians love to talk about class warfare. And that's, of course, whenever somebody talks about income inequality, and when the poor and middle class point out issues where the rich obviously get listened to. They get their tax cuts, special breaks, preferential treatment. And where legislatures don't actually legislate in the way that their constituents actually want. Remember, huge majorities of people do not want Social Security cuts or Medicare cuts. And yet, here we are, President Obama and the Democrats have put Social Security on the table when it comes to budget agreements. An overwhelming majority of people support social programs for the poor. And yet, what do? We continue to see our politicians cut those beneficial programs. Unemployment insurance. Once again, I got to point out how the extensions have ended. No. You're just doing class warfare, guys. Class warfare. God, pointing out how we control the system, that's class warfare. How we get all the breaks and you shouldn't. Class warfare. Class warfare does exist. But it's not the poor that are waging it. Or the middle class. It's actually the wealthiest among us. With its bought members in Congress, who are rich just like they are, they prioritize their wealth and the wealth of their donors above anything else. Above any priorities. And look, this is exactly why you need to go to wolf-pack.com. Because unless you're a wealthy individual or a multinational corporation, you will not be represented. And nothing will ever change. We will not win on any issue, no matter how much support you have, until we get the money out of politics.